Hello Lorenzonites, welcome back to KSP Contracting episode 31, where we bring the boys from Duna home. At least that's the point. Look at them. There they are in their Duna ship in the crew storage unit right there. That's where they are lounging, and I forgot who they are. Let's see, do we have their names today? Yes, it's Jebediah and Murkas, of course. Right, they have just 234 days of waiting to do, so let's punch the time warp and see about whittling that down a bit. In response to a comment of Mr. Zentreerer on the last episode that was complaining about some static in the video, I did have a listen, and if you turn the volume right up you can hear an annoying static. So what I tried to do is for this recording to reduce the boost of the microphone. I wanted to correspondingly lower the game volume, but that's already at 1 and 2%, so that doesn't really go any lower. Oh, and the time warp doesn't really go any higher than 1000 at this altitude. That's all nice. That means we have to go to the space center to time warp, because otherwise it will take forever. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I reduced the microphone gain. Hopefully that will get rid of the buzzing of the static, or at least it will reduce that a bit. If it doesn't, I might have to look into getting a new microphone, finding a software filter, or doing something else. Anything that involves processing I'm not a big fan of, because well, the videos take a long time to make as is, and if I have to spend time on quality control, as it were, that would just increase the time spent per video. Because I'd record them, I throw them in the encoder and I upload them. I don't actually check them. I try to do the editing as I go along, and I'm sure you have noticed a wonky scene change, jump, clip, or missed sentence here and there. That's the price we pay for a higher volume of videos. And again, I think I've thoroughly alienated any epileptics here, but enjoy the stroke. It's only 150 more days, and then we shall move to the Duna guys. Wow, if you just focus on the VAB, you can go really crazy like this. Just try it. Just look at nothing but the VAB. We've got 100 more days to go. See that flashing. Put your head like right up to the screen and look at nothing but the VAB. Give me all your money. Give me all your money. You want to give me all your money. You want to give me everything. Right, isn't that fun, guys? It's just 10 more days, and if I can hit the... Oh, wow, even the alarm clock does it for me. Wonderful. So let's find the Duna boys. The crew storage unit, the imaginatively named ship. It never did get a proper name, but now that they're going home, crew storage unit is just as well. It's an old ship, it has chemical engines, none of that modern nuclear malarkey, and there is a decent, in fact rather large chance that the chemical engines and the remaining fuel will not suffice to take them home. If so, we are looking at another rescue mission, but for now let's actually find out how well or how terrible they will perform. What we need to do for that is make another interplanetary rendezvous. It's a little bit of a problem actually with these series, that as soon as they get in the into the nice advanced interplanetary stage, basically all you do is set up rendezvous and do them. And while it's fun, I can imagine it's not maybe the most awesome thing to actually watch. So I try to cut out the real boring bits like the long burns, but if I make a show that's just craft design and landing, then that gets tedious. So I try to, I don't know, intersperse it with some witty banter, which sometimes I'm good at and sometimes not that good at. Anyway, look at that. The ascending node here is just 0.3 degrees, and still we are not really getting anything that's resembling an encounter. So is this launch window actually wrong? That is the question. Because we will be here and it will be there. This is orbiting this way. I'm not sure. Do we actually need to wait for a little bit longer? Let's see what the alarm clock has to see about that for now. Has to say about that. Time to transfer 5 days. Did that... I'm pretty sure it actually stopped the time warp for me. But all right, let's forward another 5 days, and it will take a horrendously a long time because the time warp keeps getting kicked down to 1,000. And while it's not that bad, it's I don't actually know which inputs the Kerbal alarm clock uses to calculate its launch windows, but I do know that now Ike is going to get in the way in all probability. Let's make it 2 more orbits of Duna. No, let's have it at this one. Let's see what we can come up with now. 5 days, it is not a huge amount of time, but it might be just sufficient to actually get an encounter. No, not that way. Okay, new maneuver node. I want it fresh on all the axes. That looks like a good ejection angle. Now all we need to do is actually make that have an encounter. Come on. That is actually not better at all. Closest approach, targeted closest approach. We need to get there sooner. So do we need to do something like this? That doesn't really work, and also it's horrendously delta V expensive. Wow, I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. If we go here, and the planet is then here, we need to circle slightly slower. Then we need to do another burn over here. Yeah, we can do that. We can just leave like this, and then treat it like a proper rendezvous. Because I don't want to go around waiting for longer, and apparently there's absolutely no way I can possibly predict when that transfer window is. I mean, if the alarm clock's not doing it right, then I don't know if I can. Fortunately, this escape burn is only 600 meters per second. That's something that should probably be in our tanks. So let's fire up the engines and find out if it's actually so. So here we're going. Do we still have any fuel remaining? No, we're basically down to the last large tank. And of course, each pod has one of these tanks. But it will be a very, very close thing. This burn will be completed no problem, and that at least puts 1 point of the orbit at Kerbin's sphere of influence. So unless we hit a super unlucky resonance or something, we will at least be treated like an asteroid that will pass by the planet at some indeterminate point in the future. It could be 1,000 years, but it could also be 1 year. Anyway, here we are. This burn has been successfully completed. We are on an ejection vector. And our orbit looks like this. Wow, wonderful. Let's do a little bit of time warping then. That we may... Oh, actually the ejection vector doesn't look that neat at all. But maybe that's why the rendezvous was so hard. Oh well. That's a pity. Then again, the ejection velocity is rather low as well, so maybe it all doesn't matter. Descending node is 0.4 degrees. That should be enough for a neat intercept. Well, should it? Because this is not making any sense. Alright, maybe we want first to have the periapsis a little bit more inside Kerbin's. So we're still at the relative apoapsis. We still have just a bit of monopropellant, but fortunately the electric charges do. The SAS provide lots of rotational authority, so that's fine. Let's perform a burn and lower this periapsis a little bit more then. Here we go. Now we are at least inside the range of possible encounters. I don't know how to say that, but we are. Right, well this is a problem. I don't know how to make it work. Look, we have a closest approach here. We're circling this way, by the way. And the planet is then behind us. That means we need to orbit faster or wait for many years. Or we need to orbit slower. That's counterintuitive. But maybe we can do that for a low amount of delta V. How much slower do we need to orbit to make this work? A lot slower. Or the indicator just doesn't work. Because this is not changing at all. Oh, look at that. Here we are getting something. Wow. An encounter. Now we have a choice to make, because this will be a fairly roundabout way of encountering the planet. It will be 800 meters per second. Can we do that from here? I think maybe we can. But the fact that lengthening this orbit means that it will also work by just waiting. We are going to reimburse the families of Jeb and Merkas for some extra time. We might have to circle around for a year or 2 or 3. Damn it, really need some higher time warp. The real solar system mod gives you higher time warp, I think up to 1 million at least, but maybe even up to 10 million. And you need to use it with care, because, well, if you don't, you might end up being flung out of the solar system. But it does come with some advantages. Like, these long waits are actually not long at all with that amount of time warp. Also, the rotating planetarium makes it hard to hit buttons. Right, here we are. We are now apparently now at the closest approach constantly, which is a little bit strange. I'm pretty sure if we just burn straight at the planet now, that won't work out. So let's see what happens if we go for next orbit. And if we then reduce our orbit. If we do so now. Well, look at that. Maybe we can get an encounter over there. This looks promising. Or no, it doesn't. So that would be nice to just find it over there somehow. But it seems as if that's not allowable or something. It's 127,000. It's 160,000. That's really not far. It's 100,000. Do I need to like alter this a bit? Ah, there we are. This is 650 meters per second. And then we are at least in the sphere of influence. That means we can either do like an asteroid rendezvous with a local craft, or if we have the fuel we can slow down and get into an orbit. We are going to go attempt this burn because it will happen in 9 days. It's 650 meters per second. That's a modest amount. And then at the end of that we can see about fine-tuning it to, well, pass by Kerbin really close. And then we can just send up a quick shuttle to get the guys and their science, because as you may have noticed and I've mentioned before, this craft actually does not have any parachutes or re-entry mechanism, so it would be hazardous for the science boys to just drop down and, I don't know, crash into the sea or something. That would be a pity. Also, they are carrying lots and lots of science, probably even more than the Moho crew, because these guys visited 2 celestial bodies like Duna and Ike, and well, we want that, and to unlock more science nodes and to allow you guys to build better craft. What I forgot after the last episode is to actually upload the persistence file. I shall not forget that this time, at least I hope so, so that you guys actually may design crazy bonkers craft and send them to me, which I like, because then I get to do more videos, and then we get to do more science, and then we get to do more joyous Kerbal Space Program. I think we're gonna make it. 300 more meters per second. The fuel hasn't run out yet. These old chemical engines still performing wonderfully after their many restarts. And let's head to the map screen, lower the throttle a bit, and see what happens with this encounter as it develops. getting it. We're getting it. We're getting it. Less throttle, less throttle. We're getting there. We are getting there. Oh. Yeah, we're getting there. 40,000 kilometers. Not horrible, not great either. Let's see if we can make a maneuver node here. And we will focus the camera on Kerbin. And I love this trick. And then we can see if some small adjustments. Ooh, I was saying small adjustments, not massive adjustments. Ooh, wow, that is really tight. Oh, I just accidentally made that maneuver node for a kilometer per second. That will change things. We don't want that. We want tiny changes. Doing it with the mouse wheel, getting back to 0. And then the mouse wheel just apparently goes nuts and starts adding hundreds and hundreds of meters per second. Well, I want tenths of meters. I want centimeters per second. Right, here we go. Okay, so prograde, retrograde is not going to do much for us. Let's see what we can do with radial, normal and anti-normal, and then we shall attempt radial. Well, I'm getting sick of this. It always adds so much meters per second when I'm just do a small flick of the mouse wheel. Maybe the dragging is better. This won't get the periapsis any closer either. So maybe this will. Yes, it seems as though it will. Periapsis 800. Let's see if we can just make it disappear. Yeah, just 33 meters per second more and we are on a collision course with the planet. Isn't that wonderful? That should be amazing. Right. Just like that. There we go. No periapsis anymore. Or the actual periapsis. That's this. Oh, 800 kilometers. That's also fine. Right. How much time until this happens? Just about a year. 347 days. Let me just fast forward that. And I will be back when we're near the planet. So just blink your eyes. 1, 2, 3, and there we are approaching Kerbin's sphere of influence, stepping off the time warp, and we are coming in for a periapsis of 850 kilometers, and we do have some fuel remaining, so I'm hoping that we can successfully reduce that to a closed orbit. And I'm not going for any aggressive aero braking. Let's see, how much do we need for minimal capture? Just 140. We will make that. We will make that, and we don't need a maneuver node to do it because, well, it's easy. Just burn at periapsis. So let's time warp until we are actually at this periapsis. That's 8 days from now. That's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. 2 more hours. And yes, I am an impatient man. There we are. Completely missed the approach of home, but let's cinematically pan into that. Where is it? Jebediah Merkaz, triumphant return home. Pointing the ship retrograde, and firing those engines, possibly for the last time ever. Currently accelerating the whole contraption at just about 3 Gs, 2 Gs, apologies for that, and that's because there's almost no dead weight remaining. Quite impressed with the vehicle, all the different parts made by Nathan Rule, Art Blaze, and possibly someone else that I forgot. If I did forget you, sorry about that. All different parts constructed in the previous episodes of this wonderful show, and they work together basically without a hitch, so compliments on that. That was really good. And we are now about to get into aerobraking territory, actually. If we did had some parachutes, we could have made it. We don't though, so we won't. Wow, that's pretty precise. We're going to just fast forward to that new periapsis and reduce our orbit as much as possible so as to make any rescue effort easy rather than hard. It should be fairly straightforward though, just a matter, because I can't just design a shuttle, obviously in this game I have to make the craft, not make the craft, but get the craft from you guys. So we're gonna have a look in the garage to see if there is anything that will serve to get these guys home. Anyway, let's for now just burn the last bits of fuel tweaking this orbit. Last bits of fuel, all gone now. 230 kilometers by 580. Tidy orbit if ever there was one. And what's better, this vehicle is ready for possible reuse. It just needs some refueling and then it can go off again. It even has a laboratory and everything where you can attach some landers. It is a wonderful piece of engineering. So let's leave that for now. Oh, I can't go to the Space Center because I'm throttled up. Let's leave that for now and have a look at the garage. The garage. Forgot how to say that. And observe what we have. Now we obviously don't want to waste something awesome like... Oh, this one actually was launched, so we can delete that from our thing. Because you can. I think this was launched as well, but I'm not sure about that anymore. We can look at something like the Moonraker, which is a little bit of an older design when we didn't have as much tech. But the problem is this only seats one and can't be flown remotely, so it won't serve to get our guys back. Well, we have here the Dragonfly made by Griswolf. It was a pretty impressive design with, if I recall correctly, stuff like that going on. But this also only seats one, so we can't use it for these purposes. Wow, it does look good though. I'm definitely going to launch that one of these days. We have this, the Brutal Overhead Return Gap, which is probably overkill, but it's also just a bonkers ship, so it might as well be used for something like this. Look, it even lights up the whole VAB. Look, it's a big square of rockets. But again, it only seats... No, it seats more. But does it land more? That's the question. I don't think this lands. No, it only lands one. So we're not going to use that either. We need to bring 2 Kerbals home. We have the Larry Walters. That has been launched already. Obviously that would work. It has the Ring of Death, but hey, it has been used already, so we can't do that again. We have the Moon Polar Lander 2. I think this is by Coryzilla. It's a real old design. It's been lingering in the hangar and in the garage, and I didn't ever get a chance to launch it. Oh, I did get a chance to launch it, but that went sort of wrong. No, this is the updated version with the Separatrons. In a previous episode, version 1 of this didn't have Separatrons and it failed on ascent, so that was tragic. This seats enough to land. This seats enough to do it. That will fail to do the lunar mission, which is a tad unfortunate. But we can leave the lander fully fueled in orbit, and then it only needs a push from a different vessel. We might use that again. I think I'm going to use this to retrieve the Duna science. And obviously for that we don't need a full crew complement, we just need one. Let's get Sigas, our veteran, in the middle seat. He will fly to the Duna boys and retrieve them safely. So thanks Coryzilla for that design. It will be misappropriated, so it's not going to the moon either, just like its predecessor, but it will do a noble goal. Right, so as this episode is getting really long already, but of course we don't mind that because we're having fun, at least I am. Oh, we are orbiting retrograde. Not that big a deal, but it is something you need to pay attention to, because otherwise we'd be launching in the wrong direction. So we are not taking advantage of the Coriolis effect today, instead we are launching to the left. That's a rocket science term, to the left. We have a rather big inclination to deal with, but it's not that big a deal. I'm saying it a lot today, because we have a big rocket to take care of it. Right, let's... Oh, this is not the real solar system, so we don't quite need to pitch over yet. We just need to get up to about 10 kilometers first. And I won't show you the whole ascent, because that will just get really boring, because we have been watching for a while. No, I am going to show you the separation of the separatronic boosters, because that's what went wrong the first time. And, well, of course, watching might be fun to see your rocket ascend. Apologies about doing it at night. That sometimes, somehow, always happens. There we go. Those boosters falling away cleanly. Those boosters falling away cleanly. Everything looks to be in order. Mainsails not the best engines we have nowadays, because, well, the SLS parts are just plain better, but they are still serving to propel this wonderful piece of rocket upwards. We are at 153 degrees of inclination. That's largely due to the Coriolis effect that still has us traveling to the east, even though, no, to the west, apologies, even though that's not actually the direction we're boosting in. That's just our rotational inheritance that we need to get rid of. So, is pointing towards the rocket actually a good idea at this point? No, it is not. Also, it's not a terrible idea. I want to be going that way. And it seems as though we are. No, we need to be pointing more towards the north. Otherwise, the inclination will not happen correctly. I will need to burn in this direction, I say so. Yes, there we go. Look at that, it's just 20 degrees now. Oh, and it is increasing. That it should not be increasing. 20 degrees is something we can definitely take care of. That is fine. Ooh, we're coming up on booster separation, where the previous incarnation of this rocket failed horribly. So we shall try to stabilize our trajectory. And there they go, completely safe. We're at 33 kilometers, not quite out of the atmosphere yet, but close enough. We are pitching over properly. We have 3 big orange tanks here with the mainsail underneath. Maybe not the most efficient way of doing things, but hey, it's a way of doing things, and that's what counts. What's this engine then? Oh, it's going to ignite both at the same time? That's maybe not the best idea. Let's put this in a stage of its own. Right, so we are a boosting. Now in this here is a bit I feel confident about skipping, so once again, blink your eyes, 1, 2, 3, and there we are, 2 fuel tanks later, in orbit. Wonderful, look at that, we have a stable periapsis while about, and all we need to do now is actually rendezvous. So let's have a look at our ascending node here, just 20 degrees to take off. This is a big burn that with careful planning and deliberation was quite possibly not super necessary, but it is the easiest way to just look at it and fix it. And of course, oh look at that, that seems like it could be a rendezvous. Just 136 kilometers of separation. Can this be a rendezvous? That would be nice, then we can do it immediately. So 180 kilometers doesn't necessarily preclude rendezvous. But of course we would like some efficiency. That's 105. It's 110. As long as we can sort of see the other vessel, it should be alright. At least our... No. No. This is going completely wrong. We can almost do it. Let's try that again. Just put that at the node. Fix the inclination. 0.9. 0.7. 0.2. And then start this boost. And then here it's 140. Are we then... Yeah, we are then behind. So we need to push this out slightly further. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Then we can just rendezvous from this point on. This is 800 meters per second, and we need to prepare for that immediately because, well, The node is in 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And I think, yeah, we should have this because 800 meters per second is also about the transfer amount to the moon. Speaking of the moon, let's ditch the lander and leave that here. Let's ditch it after a few seconds of burn because now it's still grazing the atmosphere. Nah, let's just ditch that. Wait, why am I not finding the burn marker? Yeah, we'll leave that here. 68 kilometers is not, it's just barely atmosphere, so we'll decouple that and leave the lander right here to be used at some indeterminate point in the future. It might happen, it might never happen, but it's never a bad idea to have a fully capable spaceship ready and waiting in orbit. It just needs a guy in there. Who knows, it might serve as a lifeboat for future crews if it has parachutes. I'm not sure it has parachutes, but it has engines. It could probably do a powered landing even on Kerbin. I'm not sure, maybe what I'm saying now is really dangerous. Also, ooh, yeah, this is safe. This ship really doesn't control that well. I need to fire the big mainsail to actually get some control authority from that. But even that is not a problem because we are confident in our Rocketeer ability and Delta V capacity. So let's cut out that engine again, do a little bit of time warp up until the Nito burn point. That's just now. Let's open up the throttle on that big engine and inject another 800 meters per second into this monumental orbit. Sigas on his way to rescue the science from the Duna boys and of course the Duna boys themselves. And if this goes off well, we'll have another mission, and that will be 31, or at least 31 episodes, with 0 casualties so far. That's hands down the best safety record I have ever produced in the Kerbal Space Program. So that is worth mentioning on its own, I reckon. Let's see about adding the maneuver here. The system is not happy with that, and seeing about making an encounter happen. Well, we can't intersect the planet to make an encounter happen. I'm not quite sure what the system is trying to tell me. Will this work? Will this not work? Will everyone die horribly? Just a whole period later? This, we don't need that. We can do it like this. Maybe. Separation 140 kilometers. I want to meet here. That would be lots better. 109. Why is this always more than 100? 114. Do we still have some inclination difference? Yeah, we do. Maybe that's why. 140. Is this due to the inclination? 112? No, it's not. Oh well, so we're going to have to go for the full Monty. Or maybe we can do it here. Yeah, full Monty it'll be. Because I don't understand the other markings. 7.2. What we will do while doing that burn, what we will do is look closely at the map view while doing it, because hell, I have no idea what the game is trying to tell me with that display. 400 meters per second, that should be no problem, especially because we have a half orange tank full of a Poodle engine, which should give us, I don't know, a few kilometers per second at least. So Delta V really is no issue. Time is no issue either, because Jebediah and Merkez have been waiting for a long time. You might even call it forever. So we can just do this rendezvous the super duper easy way. Alright. I need to be pointing prograde again. And currently I am not. Fire up the mainsail for some rotational authority as before. This is maybe also the cause of that 1.4 degree inclination, just the burning while changing. It's not doing that much delta V wise, but you never know. Right, punch it. Going up to 4 Gs. And the fuel is somewhat running out. Right, let's have a look at the map view. Well, now it's big enough already that we missed any efficient sort of rendezvous. We're just going to need to whip this marker all the way around to here. Right, that's the... Ooh, this is not a poodle. Nice, this is a big one. It's a skipper. Odd choice. I would have done the poodle for the improved efficiency. At least I think it's more efficient. But at least we have lots of thrust now, which is worth something in and of itself. So 8 km separation seems like a good deal to me. Yeah, the poodle is slightly more efficient, but only slightly. Here we are zipping around while the Duna boys do the same, but quicker. Target relative speed mode, that's a few hundred meters per second, not terribly much, mind you. Here we go. There they are, really close, I think. Yeah, 9 km, zipping by at 400 meters per second. Though now I'm happy with that skipper that can just put down the thrust pedal to the metal and get that equalized. And we're just about ready to approach and receive. Go. I have not been very generous with the skipping of the sequences today. Basically, mostly because I just enjoyed talking to you. So, if you think that's boring, you should have never let me start. Right, that's 85 meters per second towards the other ship, which is currently at 7 kilometers distant. That will dwindle quickly at this speed, but not quickly enough, so we will just throw in some time warp. We know we can stop on a dime anyway. Right, that's being loaded in just now. Here we go, less than a kilometer away. That's just about 10 seconds of travel time. And let's start firing the engine again. Quick rendezvous style, like a space cowboy. We're just picking up some Kerbal cargoes. 9 meters per second is a relative stop, is close enough to relative zero for Sigas. He is a veteran of space travel and knows exactly what he's doing, so it is completely safe to just fire the engine and steer the ship at the same time, stopping that, turning around, firing the engine again. Ooh, gimbals of the reaction wheels are being overloaded just a bit. And in the end, we're not actually getting any closer. That maybe was just a bit too cowboy even for Sigas. Still, 300 meters, not too shabby. Let's do it the proper way this time, where we actually point at the ship instead of just wildly cartwheeling through space. Because I want a quick EVA. Any time I spend here with the actual approach will be cut in half. Well, will be recouped easily when the EVA johns turn out to be a breeze. So I want to get under 100 meters for sure. And I don't know why, but the control of this ship is turning out to be hard. Sigas maybe is drunk. Maybe that's it. Here we go. 10 meters per second to get rid of. Only 4 remaining. And now we're in easy EVA territory. There we go. 0.6 meters per second of drift. We can deal with that. Right on. So, crew, Jebediah, you first. Grab the data. Wow, that's so much. There's your ride home. A rocket full of fuel and some parachutes. Maybe it wasn't the safest idea to send Jebediah over first. He might not be able to withstand the temptation and just rocket off. He has spent several years in a spaceship that had a noticeable lack of boosters. And Jebediah, of course, is the daredevil of the space program. Let's see, grab onto that. Where is the entry hatch? There we go. Enter. Now, before we drift out of range, Mercas, I think they've become friends. At least I hope so. Otherwise, it would be fairly hellish to spend all that time cooped up together. Doing his last EVA of the mission, and then it's back home in this express capsule. Sent up just to get these Duna boys home. Scrapping a moon mission in the process. But the Kerbal Space Program has ruled that the moon is now officially boring. They have been there a few times. There have been ships designed for Eve and Dres, and the moon is now boring. Because Jeb is at the helm, we're not going to bother with orbital mechanics. We're just going to punch it like that to go home. Point it at the ocean and go. You know, like they do in the movies. Ooh, it's going to start cartwheeling. Is this... we do need to glance at the... We do need to glance at the map view to see if we're actually going home, because as you might be able to tell, this is really the most inefficient way to do a landing ever. But we do have our periapsis now at just merely 30 kilometers, so it does work as long as you have the thrust. But you will notice that we will not be landing anywhere here. Of course, and if you didn't know this already, well, now you do. The most efficient way to get down from orbit is to thrust retrograde. So you burn against the direction of your orbit. You don't actually burn towards the planet like we're doing now. It will work if you have the rocket power to overwhelm the orbital mechanics and just pile on the delta V so that you fall out of orbit. It will work, but it will cost you. It's one of the most inefficient ways to get back, if not the most inefficient way. Obviously, more inefficient would be thrusting just away from the planet, but then, well, what the hell are you doing? What you're even trying? Right. Well, I think it's about time we end this episode. Hey, we might be landing back at the Kerbal Space Center more or less perfectly, just because. Oh, if I had saved some rocket power, maybe I could have. No, we're going to overshoot into the mountain ranges there. But hey, at least our crazy burn into the planet. Can we see the space center? It should be somewhere there. Oh, no, over there. Just a reticule. It's 90 kilometers away. Here's another landed thing. So that's all good. Let's ditch the ship. It doesn't really... there it goes. We're going to get some hard G-forces here. Fortunately, Jeb is at the helm, so nobody cares. They all want to be tough guys to impress Jeb. We're at 2 kilometers per second, just 10 kilometers up. G-forces are over 15. Let's see what they were. 26.8 Gs. That's a lot of deceleration. But fortunately, Kerbals are made of stern stuff, as are their spaceships, so that all is no problem whatsoever. We are now at 200 meters per second. That's... oh, that's fast, but not terribly fast. That's about Mach 1. So... no, we're under Mach 1 already. Let's pop all the parachutes. That will reduce our speed considerably, at least once they deploy. Are these set for the standard altitude, or... yeah, so they should open at 500 meters above the ground, which is at any moment now, really. Let's see, there's our spaceship. Oh, wow, that's not even completely disintegrated. There we go. Complete parachute deployment. Oh, there you go, it rolls down. And we are now drifting towards the ground at a sedate 5 meters per second. You can run that fast if you're pretty fast. No, actually, I think everyone can run that fast. No worries. Right, reducing the time warp. The Duna boys, rescued from orbit by Sigas, Jebediah and Mercas, returning home to bring the science, and they shall touch down in mere seconds. So 1, 2, 3. It's 1 more second, and there we go. Let's recover the vessel whilst we can, while they haven't vomited up the inside. And let's see how much science we get. I think more than 2,000. More than 2,000. Oh, no, not more than 2,000. Just 1,743. Oh, that's still a lot. So let's move to the science building here. Let's see, what did we want in the last episode but couldn't afford? Big rover wheels. Boom. Build stuff for me. Gravioli sensor. Yeah, sure. Let's get that. Stuff like this, quad adapters, more building materials. Yeah, get it. Oh, that's all the science spent already. Well, I'm going to upload the persistence file, make some cool stuff for me, and next episode we're probably going to visit either Eve or Dres with one of Ralph's ships. So, hope you enjoyed. I'm Lorenzo. Tune in for the next time on the familiar YouTube channel, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.